So let me ask you a question. What if you had it all? The money, the mansion, the fancy Ferrari, but you knew deep down that it was literally killing you. That's really the heart of Robin Sharma's incredible fable, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Today we're going to unpack the powerful journey of a man who gave up all that worldly success for a deep inner peace, and we'll dive into the timeless wisdom he found.
All right, take a look at this. This is Julian Mantle. On the left, you've got this legal titan, a guy who is just drowning in success. We're talking a 7-figure salary, a private jet, the whole shebang. But look a little closer. He's only 53, but he's basically a prisoner in his own life. His spirit is just empty. Now, look over to the right. Believe it or not, that's the same man, just a few years later. The stress is gone, replaced by this deep, unshakable calm. It's not just some makeover, this is a total rebirth.
I mean, the change is so dramatic, it almost seems impossible, right? So how does a man, literally at death's door after a heart attack in the middle of a courtroom, completely rewrite his own destiny? Well, to get the answer, we have to go back to the moment it all just fell apart. To really get the transformation, you first have to understand the crisis. On the outside, Julian's life looked perfect, a masterclass in getting rich, but it was all built on a foundation that was spiritually bankrupt. He was a slave to the clock, always driven by this relentless hunger for more. More prestige, more glory, more money.
And then it all came crashing down. Right in the middle of what should have been just another victory in court, his body just gave out. And this massive heart attack, it wasn't just a health scare. Nope, this was a full-on wake-up call from his own mortality, basically screaming at him that the life he was living was gonna kill him.
And get this, he was only 53 years old. But the constant stress, the rich food, the endless work, it had carved decades of extra wear onto his body. He was a man running on empty, sick and tired of being sick and tired, with that light inside him almost completely burned out. So his doctor basically gave him an ultimatum. Either give up the law or give up your life. But Julian, he chose a third option. He decided to find a completely new way to live. And that meant he had to abandon everything he once thought was so important, to go search for something way more valuable. He did the unthinkable. He sold it all, the mansion, the jet, and yes, even the Ferrari. But he wasn't just getting rid of his stuff, he was shedding his entire identity to try and unburden his soul. So with just a backpack, he headed east, to India, looking for a kind of truth that money just can't buy.
Now this journey, it wasn't a vacation. It was a pilgrimage. He started hearing these whispers of a mystical group of monks living way, way up in the Himalayas. Sages who had apparently discovered the secrets to a long, joyful, and purposeful life. And finding them became his new obsession.
So, his path was clear. The collapse in the courtroom, that was the catalyst. Selling all his possessions, that was the commitment. His journey across India was the search. And finally, after a seriously treacherous climb high into the Himalayas, he reached his destination, a hidden village of roses, home to the great Sages of Sivana.
The sages welcomed him, but their wisdom came with a catch. They agreed to share everything they knew, but only on one condition. Julian had to promise to go back to the world he left behind and share their message. He had to carry their tools for a better life back to the West. He agreed, of course, and that's when his real education truly began.
So, what was the very first thing these sages taught him? What was the most fundamental principle of it all? Well, it's a powerful metaphor that really changes everything. The idea of mastering your mental garden.
The sages explained that your mind is just like a fertile garden, and you're the master gardener. You can choose to cultivate it, to nurture it, and just watch it flourish with vibrant, beautiful thoughts. Or you can neglect it. And if you do that, you allow the weeds of worry and anxiety and negativity to just take over and choke out all the good stuff.
So the core discipline here is this. You have to stand guard at the gate of your mind. You simply cannot allow toxic thoughts, worrying about the future, regretting the past, to get in and take root. Because as the sages taught, worry doesn't just drain your mind of its power. Over time, it actually starts to injure your soul. And consider this absolutely staggering idea from the sages. The average person has about 60,000 thoughts a day, but 95% of them are the exact same thoughts they had yesterday. This is what creates what they call the tyranny of impoverished thinking. It's like a mental prison built from our own negative, repetitive habits.
So how do you break that cycle? Well, the sages offered a simple but incredibly powerful technique called the heart of the rose.
It's basically an exercise in concentration. You focus your mind completely on a single beautiful object, and by doing that, you train it. You learn to quiet all of that mental chatter and take back control, strengthening your focus just like you'd strengthen a muscle.
Now, once you start to master your mind, you can then direct its incredible power toward a much higher goal. And the ultimate application of this mental mastery, according to the sages, is discovering the very secret of happiness itself.
And what is the secret to happiness? According to the sages, it's actually deceptively simple. It's not about getting more things. It's about discovering what you truly love to do, your life's purpose, and then directing all of your energy towards doing it. When your actions finally line up with your passion, joy and fulfillment become the natural result, not the thing you're chasing. But there's a really key distinction here. This isn't just about doing whatever feels fun. The sages taught that a true life's purpose is almost always connected to serving others. It's about finding a way to contribute, to improve the lives of the people around you. When you dedicate yourself to a cause that's bigger than you, success and happiness aren't things you have to pursue. They just happen, naturally.
At the end of the day, Julian Mantle's journey wasn't really about selling a car. It was about reclaiming his soul. He transformed his life by becoming the master of his own inner world, uprooting the weeds of worry and planting the seeds of purpose. So the fable leaves us with a question that's simple but pretty profound. What weeds are growing in your garden?